What's up, Thrashers, and welcome back to the Thrash Maniac 99 YouTube channel. And yes, the Mosh Pit Reviews has returned for 2020. This is my first review for the new decade, the new year, whatever else. Now, 2020 as a whole, before we get into the album in question, which you know it's in the title, but 2020 for me in terms of hard rock and heavy metal, it's looking to be a really damn good year because we got so many releases coming from big bands like Megadeth, supposedly going to have a new album this year, Anthrax, Avenged Sevenfold, Trivium, maybe Mastodon, but also a lot of underground classics are planning to release new material this year, like Immolation, maybe the Slim Chance for a Broken Hope album, maybe new Asphyx, maybe new Suffocation, new Dying Fetus. There's so much that's rumored to come out or is scheduled to come out in 2020. And then hell, just in a month from now we get the new Ozzy Osbourne album, which will be quite the treat to say the very least. So 2020 is looking to be a really, really good year for hard rock and heavy metal music. But enough about what's coming, let's talk about what came out. And this past weekend, this was the album that got the most votes on my YouTube community tab to determine which album would get the first video review of 2020, and that was the new album from Rage, called Wings of Rage. Now, for those of you who don't know, Rage is a heavy metal band that formed out of Germany sometime in the 80s, I believe. I'm not that familiar with this band, so this was my first time listening to this group. And they combine old school heavy metal, speed metal, and power metal with even a touch of symphonic aspects thrown in on top of the music. And I gave this album a listen just a little while ago, and basically here's what all I have to say, hence why this review is fairly short, and that's because with albums from bands I've never listened to, or bands I never really got into over the past I don't know how many years, but that's why these kind of reviews tend to be a little bit shorter. It's because I don't know what to expect. But when I listened to this album, one thing that stood out like a sore thumb was the production. I thought the production was pretty well done. It was like a good balance between a modern production and a little bit of a raw, energetic sound, which is one of the things that I really did like about the album, was the energy and the passion that came through with this album. This is a 12-track affair clocking in at nearly 55 minutes, so it might turn some people off who may not be into longer albums, but for those who do like longer albums, maybe you'll dig this. I mean, I like a good balance. To me, length doesn't necessarily matter in terms of songs or albums. Just as long as the music's good, that's all that matters. And as far as how I feel about the album musically, I feel musically they were trying to be a little bit over-ambitious. I feel like they tried too hard at trying to do an ambitious, longer album. But with that said, the first half of the album, I will say, does kind of feel a little bit weak in comparison to the second half, whereas the first half, there were a couple of songs in the first half that I felt kind of overstayed its welcome a little bit, particularly songs like Tomorrow, when the title track I feel kind of overstayed its welcome just a little bit. So I feel the first half of the album would have benefited a whole lot more if some of the closing moments of the albums would have been slightly cut back, like some of the songs didn't really have to be 5 minutes long, especially since towards the end of some of these songs it kind of felt like they were just dragging on for far too long, which some bands can pull it off, others not so much. But like I said, the second half of the album, things started to pick up for me, particularly the last 4 songs: Shine a Light, HTTS 2.0, Higher Than the Sky, Blame It on the Truth, and For Those Who Wish to Die. I thought those 4 songs were the highlights of the album. Shine a Light being at nearly 7 minutes long, and this was actually an example of a longer song done well, and done with that was well executed, I should say. And then, For Those Who Wish to Die, it was a great closing song, but I feel like the whole, like, extra minute of just, like, wind noises I felt was kind of pointless. I mean, some songs can pull off that kind of closing moment of, like, noise in the background. Well, and then again, others not so much. That's kind of the theme of what you're getting with this review, so to speak. But regardless, yeah, the second half, as good as the second half was, I do feel like the album suffers because of the first half. I will give him credit. There is a solid balance between the melodic guitars and the more heavier dissonant style of Rage's triple threat genre pushing music of old school metal, speed, and power metal. However, with that said, yeah, I do feel like some of the vocals on the album, like, vocally, it seemed very inconsistent. Like the singer's trying to do, almost like as if he's trying to do, like, a more upper registered version of Sabaton, to me. This is just coming from a new follower, well, not a new follower, but someone new to the band Rage, so you're gonna kind of hate me for this, but to me, he sounded like he was trying to sing higher than Joachim from Sabaton, and to me, some of the times it worked, others not so much. So I thought the vocals were very inconsistent on the album. And to me, the whole album suffers from inconsistency. Like I said, the first half felt a little bit weak, and it was mostly down to the fact that some of the songs felt like they overstayed their welcome. But the second half, however, especially the final 4 songs, are definitely worth checking this album for. But with that being said, solid start to 2020. Wasn't a bad album, but definitely could have been better if some of those criticisms I mentioned, like some of the songs needing to be slightly cut back, the vocals could have been a little bit better. But regardless, I give this album a 24 out of 40. It's a decent enough album. It does flow together really well. Like, there are songs that connect into one another, which I do like when albums connect songs together. So they were able to do that and do it pretty well. But anyways, what did you guys think of The Wings of Rage by Rage? I know there's a couple other albums that came out this past weekend. I'll have to check out, like Apocalyptica and who's the other one? Mystic Prophecy. And then we got less than a 2-week break before the 24th comes around, where there's 4 albums coming out. There will be a new poll coming up soon, so keep an eye out on the community tab of my YouTube page to vote for what album you want to see me review next. Until next time, peace out, and I will see you soon. And I know Hannah, I know her opinion about this, but I'm sorry. Number 4, Ghost prequel.
Screw you! Screw you! Die! Die! Okay.
Get out of here!
No, I cannot continue.
Now she's gone.
Hannah, I'm sorry. I'm gonna probably. That's my number 3 request.
You have no idea about music.
Okay.